A Trip to the Forest by Yaiza Font, Meritxell Otero, and Alejandro Rosselló. Once upon a time, there was a group of students from St. David's School who had to go on a school trip. They were very excited because they were going to visit the forest of his town, which was on the top of a hill. James, who was their teacher, was going to explain them with more detail what kind of trees, plants, and animals inhabit in that ecosystem. Annie, Albert, Mary, and Paul were very enthusiastic about the trip, but Allison, who was a bit rebel, wasn't really keen on environment, and she thought that it was very boring.
On the way to the forest, James started to explain to the students how difficult it is to keep safe a forest, and how much effort supposes that. Meanwhile, Allison was pulling the hair to another classmate, instead of paying attention to the teacher's indications. Once in the forest, James and the students met a boy who was going to be their guide during the school trip. After almost 2 hours, they decided to take a break and rest in the picnic spot.
James and the guide allowed the students to have lunch, but under the condition that after having lunch, they had to pick up the litter in order to keep clean the forest. Especially, they must pick up things that could produce pollution or any kind of disaster. Everybody cleaned up their own garbage, but Allison refused to do it. However, nobody realized that, and that's why Allison's rubbish was left there. They carried on with the school trip until the afternoon, and after admiring all the wonderful creatures that lived in that forest, they went back home, having learned lots of things about the forest, and all that concerns it.
The following day, Allison was watching the TV while she was having breakfast before going to school. She wanted to watch cartoons, but suddenly she noticed that her mother had turned up the TV and she was paying attention to the TV, very interested. They were watching the news, and on the TV screen appeared a reporter with a hill on fire behind her.
The reporter said that the fire was produced by a glass bottle. Allison, after hearing this, realized that the bottle which had provoked the fire was the one which she left in the forest the day before. She felt sorry and guilty about the entire situation. Since then, she became more friendly and respectful towards the environment.
She and her classmates returned to the forest, which now is reforested 1 year later. At the time of cleaning all the rubbish, Allison helped her other classmates, so she had learned the lesson. From this short story, we can extract a moral. The world is safe if everyone does their part.